In the heart of New York City, where skyscrapers pierced the clouds and streets buzzed with life, Sarah Collins navigated her day like any other. She was a woman in her early 30s, balancing the weight of the world on her shoulders as a single mother to an energetic 8-year-old named Lily. Her days were filled with juggling work at a small cafe, managing bills that seemed to pile higher each month, and ensuring her daughter had everything she needed. Despite her struggles, Sarah carried herself with quiet dignity, always putting others before herself. On this particular afternoon, Sarah's shift at the cafe had been unusually hectic. The rain outside had driven people indoors, and customers packed the tiny space, ordering coffee after coffee to escape the gloomy weather. By the time her shift ended, Sarah felt drained, but relieved to finally step out into the fresh air. Pulling her coat tighter around her, she hurried toward the subway station, eager to get home to Lily. As she cut through Central Park, a shortcut she often took, Sarah noticed something lying on one of the benches. At first glance, it looked like a black rectangle partially hidden under a newspaper fluttering in the breeze. Curious, she approached the bench and picked up the object. It was a wallet, sleek and expensive-looking, made of smooth leather that gleamed even in the dim light of the overcast sky. Sarah hesitated for a moment, glancing around to see if anyone nearby might be searching for it. But the park was nearly empty, save for a few joggers and dog walkers who paid her no mind. Her fingers trembled slightly as she opened the wallet, half expecting it to be empty or belonging to someone careless enough to lose it. What she found inside stopped her in her tracks. Stacks of crisp $100 bills filled one side, while the other contained multiple credit cards, a driver's license, and a small folded photograph. Sarah's breath caught as she flipped through the contents. There must have been thousands of dollars tucked away in that wallet. For someone like her, who counted every penny just to make ends meet, the temptation was undeniable. But almost immediately, guilt washed over her. This wasn't hers, it belonged to someone else, someone who might desperately need it back. She pulled out the driver's license to see whose wallet it was. The name Ethan Carter stared back at her from the card, accompanied by a photo of a young man with sharp features and piercing eyes. His address was listed as well, somewhere in Manhattan. Sarah didn't recognize the name, but the face seemed vaguely familiar, though she couldn't place it. Standing there in the middle of the park, Sarah wrestled with conflicting emotions. On one hand, she thought about all the things she could do with that money: pay off some of her mounting debts, buy Lily new clothes for school, maybe even take a weekend trip to give them both a break from their stressful lives. On the other hand, she knew deep down that keeping the wallet would gnaw at her conscience. Growing up, her parents had instilled strong values in her, teaching her the importance of honesty and integrity. They'd always said that doing the right thing wasn't always easy, but it was what defined a person. Taking a deep breath, Sarah closed the wallet and clutched it tightly in her hand. She decided then and there that she would return it, no matter how difficult it might be. But as she stood there, reality began to sink in. How exactly was she supposed to find Ethan Carter? The address on his license was vague, and she doubted knocking on random doors in Manhattan would lead her to him. Still, she refused to give up. Determination burned within her, fueled by the belief that she owed it to herself and to Ethan, too. And with renewed resolve, Sarah started walking toward the nearest subway station. Along the way, she pulled out her phone and searched for Ethan Carter online, hoping to find some clue about who he was. To her surprise, dozens of articles popped up, detailing the success of a young entrepreneur named Ethan Carter. According to the headlines, he was the founder of a tech startup called Carter Ventures, which had skyrocketed to fame thanks to its groundbreaking innovations. Photos showed him attending glamorous events, shaking hands with influential figures, and posing confidently alongside luxury cars and private jets. Sarah stared at the screen in disbelief. The man whose wallet she held wasn't just anyone. He was a millionaire, someone who lived in a completely different world from hers. For a fleeting moment, she wondered if he would even notice the loss of such a wallet, given his apparent wealth. But then she shook her head, dismissing the thought. No matter how rich he was, losing something so valuable had to be stressful. And besides, it wasn't about the money. It was about doing the right thing. By the time Sarah reached the subway, she had formulated a plan. First, she would call the number listed on his license. If that didn't work, she would visit the address associated with Carter Ventures, hoping to track him down in person. As the train rattled beneath the city streets, Sarah gripped the wallet tightly, her heart pounding with anticipation. She had no idea what awaited her, but she felt a strange sense of purpose driving her forward. Little did she know this simple act of kindness would set off a chain of events that would change her life forever. The subway ride gave Sarah time to reflect on her own circumstances. She thought about how hard she worked every day, how much she sacrificed for her daughter, and how sometimes it felt like the universe never noticed her efforts. Returning the wallet was her chance to prove, to herself if no one else, that goodness still mattered in a world that often seemed cold and indifferent. By the time she stepped off the train and emerged onto the bustling streets of downtown Manhattan, Sarah felt a mix of nervousness and determination. She was ready to face whatever came next, armed with nothing but her principles and a stubborn refusal to give up. What Sarah didn't realize, however, was that fate had bigger plans. For her, somewhere across the city, Ethan Carter was frantically searching for his lost wallet, unaware that a kind stranger was already on a mission to return it. Their paths were about to cross in ways neither of them could have anticipated, setting the stage for a story that would redefine their lives in unimaginable ways. After leaving the subway, Sarah found herself standing outside a towering glass building that housed Carter Ventures. The sleek architecture and polished lobby intimidated her, but she reminded herself why she was there, to return Ethan's wallet. Taking a deep breath, she pushed open the heavy glass doors and stepped inside. The reception area was pristine, with marble floors gleaming under soft lighting. A young woman sat behind a desk, typing away on a computer, seemingly oblivious to Sarah's hesitant presence. Sarah approached the desk, clutching the wallet tightly in her hand. "Excuse me," she said softly, her voice barely audible over the hum of activity around her. The receptionist looked up, offering a polite smile. "Can I help you?" she asked, her tone professional yet warm. I think this belongs to someone who works here," Sarah stammered, holding out the wallet. "It's Ethan Carter's." The mention of Ethan's name caused the receptionist's eyes to widen slightly. "Mr. Carter, are you sure?" she asked, leaning forward with curiosity. "Yes, his driver's license is inside," Sarah replied, opening the wallet just enough to show the ID without revealing its contents. "I found it in the park earlier today. I tried calling him, but no one answered." The receptionist nodded thoughtfully. "Let me see if he's available," she said, picking up the phone. As she dialed an extension, Sarah felt her nerves spike. She had never been in such an upscale environment before, let alone interacted with someone as prominent as Ethan Carter. What if he didn't believe her? What if he thought she had taken something from the wallet? While waiting, Sarah glanced around the lobby. Framed awards and certificates lined the walls, showcasing the company's achievements. Screens displayed videos of Ethan speaking at conferences, accepting accolades, and discussing his vision for the future of technology. It was surreal to think that the man in those clips was the same person whose wallet she now held in her hands. After a brief conversation, the receptionist hung up the phone and turned back to Sarah. "Mr. Carter will see you shortly," she said with a reassuring smile. "Please take a seat." Sarah thanked her and sank into one of the plush chairs arranged neatly in the waiting area. Her mind raced as she replayed the events of the day. Finding the wallet, discovering Ethan's identity, deciding to return it. All these moments seemed like pieces of a puzzle coming together. Yet she couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental was about to happen. A few minutes later, a tall man emerged from the elevator. He wore a casual gray sweater and dark jeans, looking more approachable than the polished executive Sarah had seen in the videos. His sharp features matched the photo on the driver's license, but there was a warmth in his expression that put her at ease. This was Ethan Carter. "Hi," he said, extending his hand. "I'm Ethan. Thank you so much for bringing my wallet. I've been going crazy looking for it." Sarah stood quickly, shaking his hand. "You're welcome," she replied, her voice steadier now. I found it in the park earlier. I figured it must be important since it has your ID and everything. Ethan nodded, visibly relieved. You have no idea how much this means to me, he said earnestly. There are some things in there that can't be replaced, family photos, sentimental items. Money aside, I'm just glad it's safe. Sarah smiled faintly. I wouldn't have kept anything, that's not who I am. Ethan studied her for a moment, clearly impressed. That says a lot about you, he said. Most people wouldn't go through the trouble of tracking me down, especially when they could have easily kept the money. Sarah shrugged modestly. It wasn't yours to take. I just did what anyone else would do. But Ethan shook his head. No, not everyone would do that. Trust me, I know. People surprise you in all kinds of ways, good and bad. He paused, then added, I'd like to thank you properly. Is there anything I can do for you? A reward, perhaps? Sarah immediately waved off the offer. No, please, I don't want anything in return. I'm just glad I could help. Ethan raised an eyebrow, intrigued by her refusal. Most people would jump at the chance to accept a reward, especially given his reputation as a wealthy entrepreneur. But Sarah's sincerity was undeniable. She truly didn't expect anything in return, which only deepened his admiration for her. Well, if you change your mind, let me know, he said, handing her a business card. And honestly, I'd feel better knowing I could repay your kindness somehow. Keep this, okay, just in case. Sarah hesitated, but eventually took the card, slipping it into her pocket. Thank you, she murmured, unsure of what else to say. The interaction felt surreal, almost dreamlike. Here she was, standing face to face with a millionaire who had built an empire from scratch, and all she had done was return his wallet. As they parted ways, Ethan watched Sarah leave, his thoughts swirling. There was something about her humility, her selflessness that struck a chord within him. In a world where greed often overshadowed goodwill, Sarah stood out as a reminder of humanity's better nature. He couldn't shake the feeling that their encounter was significant, though he wasn't quite sure why yet. Back at home, Sarah recounted the day's events to Lily during dinner. Her daughter listened intently, wide-eyed with wonder. Wow, Mommy, you met a real millionaire, Lily exclaimed, her voice filled with awe. Sarah chuckled, ruffling her daughter's hair. Yes, I did, but that's not the important part. What matters is that I did the right thing. Lily nodded solemnly. You always do, Mommy. As Sarah tucked Lily into bed that night, she reflected on the day. Returning the wallet had been a simple act, one she hadn't thought twice about at the time. But meeting Ethan and seeing the genuine gratitude in his eyes had left an impression on her. She wondered if their paths would ever cross again, though she doubted it. After all, their worlds were vastly different, separated by wealth, status, and circumstance. Unbeknownst to Sarah, however, Ethan was already thinking about her. Back in his penthouse apartment overlooking the city, he stared out the window, the wallet resting on the coffee table in front of him. Inside, he had found everything exactly as he'd left it, not a single bill or card missing. It was a rare occurrence in his life, encountering someone so trustworthy and principled. And it made him curious. Over the next few days, Ethan found himself unable to stop thinking about Sarah. Who was she really? What kind of life did she lead? Driven by a mix of curiosity and admiration, he decided to dig deeper. Using connections within his network, he discreetly gathered information about her. What he discovered moved him profoundly. Sarah Collins was a single mother working long hours at a cafe to support her daughter. She lived paycheck to paycheck, struggling to make ends meet while ensuring Lily had access to opportunities she herself had never experienced. Despite her hardships, Sarah remained steadfast in her values, prioritizing honesty and hard work above all else. To Ethan, she represented everything admirable about the human spirit: resilience, integrity, and compassion. Inspired by what he learned, Ethan began formulating a plan. He wanted to help Sarah, not out of pity, but out of respect for the qualities she embodied. He knew she wouldn't accept charity outright, so he needed to find a way to offer assistance that aligned with her principles. As ideas swirled in his mind, Ethan realized that their meeting might have been fate, a chance for him to give back in a meaningful way. Meanwhile, Sarah carried on with her routine, unaware of the impact she had made. Life continued as usual. Early mornings, late nights, and endless cups of coffee served with a smile. Yet, deep down, she couldn't shake the memory of Ethan's gratitude, or the lingering sense that their encounter had sparked something greater than either of them could have anticipated. Little did she know, her decision to return that wallet was about to set off a chain of events that would alter the course of her life forever. Days turned into weeks, and Sarah tried to put her brief encounter with Ethan Carter out of her mind. Life went on as it always did, busy, demanding, and often overwhelming. She continued working long hours at the cafe, balancing her responsibilities as a mother while managing the financial strain that came with being a single parent. Yet no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't shake the memory of Ethan's gratitude or the way he had looked at her when she refused his offer of a reward. It wasn't just politeness in his eyes. It was something deeper, almost like admiration. One evening, as Sarah sat at the kitchen table paying bills, her phone buzzed on the counter. She glanced at the screen and saw an unfamiliar number flashing. Hesitating for a moment, she picked it up, wondering if it might be a telemarketer or some automated call. "Hello?" she answered cautiously. "Hi, is this Sarah Collins?" a cheerful voice asked. "Yes, speaking," Sarah replied, curiosity piqued. "This is Michelle, Mr. Carter's assistant. He wanted me to reach out regarding an opportunity we think you might be interested in." Sarah froze, her pen hovering midair above the bill she'd been writing. Ethan. What could he possibly want now? An opportunity? She repeated, unsure if she had heard correctly. "Yes," Michelle continued. "Mr. Carter has been looking for someone to oversee operations at his charitable foundation, and he believes your skills and values would make you an excellent fit. He'd love to discuss it further with you if you're available." Sarah's heart raced. A job offer? From Ethan Carter? The idea seemed absurd, almost too good to be true. "I'm flattered," she said slowly, trying to process the situation. "But I don't have any experience running a foundation. I work at a cafe. I'm not sure how I'd qualify for something like that." Michelle chuckled lightly. "Don't worry about that. Mr. Carter is confident in your abilities and will provide all the training and support you need. Why, don't you come in for a meeting so he can explain everything? We'd love to see you tomorrow afternoon if that works for you." Sarah hesitated. On one hand, the offer sounded incredible, a chance to step away from the relentless grind of cafe work and do something meaningful. On the other hand, she felt completely unprepared for such a role. What did she know about managing a foundation, let alone one run by a millionaire? "Can I bring my daughter?" she blurted out suddenly, surprising even herself. Lily had school during the day, but Sarah didn't want to leave her alone in the evenings without arranging childcare first. "Of course," Michelle responded, warmly. "We understand family comes first. Bring her along. We'll make sure she feels welcome." Relieved, Sarah agreed to the meeting. After hanging up, she sat staring at her phone for several minutes, replaying the conversation in her head. Was this really happening? Or was she dreaming? For someone like her, who had spent years scraping by and barely keeping her head above water, the idea of working for Ethan Carter felt surreal. The next afternoon, Sarah dressed carefully, choosing a simple yet professional outfit borrowed from a friend. She combed her hair neatly and applied a touch of makeup, wanting to look presentable, despite her nerves. Lily, excited to visit such a fancy office building, wore her favorite dress and clutched her backpack tightly as they boarded the subway together. When they arrived at Carter Ventures, Sarah felt a wave of déjà vu. The gleaming lobby and polished reception desk were exactly as she remembered, though this time the atmosphere felt less intimidating. Michelle greeted them warmly, introducing herself to Lily before leading them to a private meeting room where Ethan awaited. Ethan stood as they entered, offering a warm smile. "Sarah, thank you for coming. And this must be your daughter," he said, kneeling slightly to address Lily directly. "Hi there, I'm Ethan." Lily grinned shyly, clutching Sarah's hand. "Hi," she whispered. After exchanging pleasantries, Ethan gestured for Sarah to take a seat. Once they were settled, he launched into an explanation of why he had reached out. "First, let me say again how much I appreciate what you did for me," he began earnestly. "Your honesty left a lasting impression on me, and it got me thinking about the kind of people I want leading my charitable foundation. Someone with integrity, compassion, and a strong work ethic." Sarah shifted uncomfortably in her chair. "That's very kind of you to say, but I'm not sure I'm qualified for something like that. I've never done anything like managing a foundation before." Ethan nodded understandingly. "You're right, you haven't. But qualifications aren't everything. Sometimes it's the qualities you can't teach that matter most. You've shown me that you care deeply about doing the right thing, and that's exactly the kind of leader our foundation needs." He went on to explain the foundation's mission: supporting underprivileged families and children through education, health care, and community programs. "We focus on empowering people to build better futures for themselves," he said, "and I believe you'd be perfect for helping us expand those efforts." Sarah listened intently, her initial skepticism giving way to intrigue. The foundation's goals resonated with her own values, and the thought of making a difference in others' lives appealed to her deeply. Still, doubts lingered. "It sounds amazing," she admitted, "but I wouldn't know where to start. I've never even worked in an office before." "That's okay," Ethan assured her. "We'll train you every step of the way, and you won't be alone. You'll have a team to support you. Think of it as a partnership. Your role will involve coordinating projects, managing volunteers, and ensuring resources are allocated effectively. But more than anything, it's about connecting with people and understanding their needs." As he spoke, Sarah found herself imagining what life might be like in such a position. No more standing on her feet for hours serving coffee. No more worrying about tips to cover groceries. Instead, she could spend her days helping others, using her natural empathy and determination to uplift communities. The idea was thrilling, even if it still felt daunting. "What about Lily?" she asked finally, voicing her biggest concern. "She's my priority, and I need to make sure I can balance work and taking care of her." Ethan smiled reassuringly. "We'll make it work. Flexible hours, remote options when needed, whatever it takes to ensure you're comfortable. Family should never have to suffer because of work." Touched by his consideration, Sarah felt tears welling up in her eyes. For so long she had struggled to find stability and purpose, constantly sacrificing her own dreams for Lily's sake. Now, here was an opportunity that promised both: a chance to grow professionally while staying true to her values. "I'll do it," she said softly, her voice filled with emotion. "Thank you for believing in me." Ethan beamed, clearly pleased with her decision. "Thank you for saying yes. This is going to be great. I can already tell." As they wrapped up the meeting, Ethan took a few moments to chat with Lily, asking about her interests and sharing stories about his childhood. By the end of the conversation, Lily was giggling freely, her earlier shyness forgotten. Watching them interact, Sarah felt a surge of gratitude, not just for the job offer, but for the kindness Ethan had shown both her and her daughter. On the ride home, Lily chattered excitedly about the fancy building and how nice Ethan had been. Sarah listened with a small smile, her mind racing with possibilities. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to dream, to envision a future where she wasn't just surviving, but thriving. Little did she know, accepting Ethan's offer would mark the beginning of a transformative journey. Over the coming months, Sarah would discover strength she never knew she had, forge connections that would change her life and inspire countless others through her work at the foundation. And Ethan, too, would learn valuable lessons about humility, gratitude, and the power of giving back. Their paths, once briefly crossed over a lost wallet, were now intertwined in ways neither of them could have predicted. Together, they would prove that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can lead to the most extraordinary outcomes. Sarah's first day at the foundation was a whirlwind of emotions. She arrived early, her stomach fluttering with nerves as she stepped into the sleek office building once again. This time, however, she wasn't here to return a wallet or meet Ethan briefly. She was starting a new chapter in her life. Michelle greeted her warmly and gave her a tour of the space, introducing her to the team members who would be working alongside her. Everyone seemed friendly and eager to help, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that she didn't belong in such a polished environment. Her initial tasks were simple: organizing files, attending meetings, and learning about the foundation's ongoing projects. At first, Sarah doubted her ability to contribute meaningfully. How could someone like her, who had spent years serving coffee and juggling bills, possibly lead initiatives that impacted entire communities? But as the days turned into weeks, something remarkable began to happen. The more Sarah immersed herself in the work, the more she realized how much her life experiences aligned with the Foundation's mission. She understood hardship because she had lived it. She knew what it meant to struggle to put food on the table, to worry about whether there would be enough money for rent, and to hope for opportunities that felt just out of reach. These struggles weren't weaknesses, they were strengths. They allowed her to connect deeply with the people the Foundation aimed to serve. When she spoke with families receiving aid or children participating in educational programs, her words carried authenticity. She wasn't speaking from a place of privilege. She was speaking from shared experience. Ethan noticed this almost immediately. He often stopped by the Foundation to check on its progress, and each time he did, he was struck by Sarah's dedication. She worked tirelessly, staying late to ensure every detail was perfect and going above and beyond to make sure beneficiaries felt valued. Her natural leadership shone through, even though she still doubted herself. One afternoon, after observing her mediate a meeting between volunteers and community leaders, Ethan pulled her aside. "You're amazing at this," he said sincerely. "I know you think you're not qualified, but trust me, you are. People listen to you because they see themselves in you. That's rare." Sarah blushed, unused to such praise. "I'm just trying my best," she replied modestly. "It helps that everyone here is so supportive." "That's true," Ethan agreed. "But don't underestimate your own role in making things work. You've already made a difference." His words stayed with her long after their conversation ended. For the first time in years, Sarah began to believe in herself, not just as a mother or a worker, but as someone capable of creating positive change. Her confidence grew steadily, fueled by small victories along the way. A successful fundraising event here, a heartfelt thank you note from a beneficiary there. Each moment reminded her why she had accepted the job in the first place. Meanwhile, Ethan found himself reflecting on his own life. Observing Sarah's humility and determination forced him to confront aspects of himself he had long ignored. As a self-made millionaire, he had always prided himself on his achievements, but success had come at a cost. He rarely took time to slow down, to appreciate the people around him, or to reconnect with the values that had driven him to start Carter Ventures in the first place. Meeting Sarah had reignited something within him, a desire to give back not just financially but emotionally and personally. He started visiting the Foundation more frequently, not just to oversee operations but to engage directly with the community. He attended events, volunteered his time, and listened to stories from those whose lives the Foundation touched. Through these interactions, he gained a newfound perspective on wealth and privilege. It wasn't about how much money you had. It was about how you used it to uplift others. As months passed, Sarah and Ethan developed a friendship rooted in mutual respect and admiration. Their dynamic was unique. While Ethan came from a world of luxury and influence and Sarah from one of hard work and sacrifice, they complemented each other perfectly. Ethan admired Sarah's authenticity and moral compass, while Sarah appreciated Ethan's willingness to use his resources for good. Together, they became a powerful team, driving the Foundation toward greater heights. One evening, after a particularly successful fundraiser, Ethan invited Sarah to join him for dinner at a quiet cafe near the office. It was unusual for him to extend such an invitation, but he felt compelled to express his gratitude. Over steaming cups of coffee, they talked openly about their lives, their challenges, triumphs, and dreams for the future. "I never expected any of this when I picked up your wallet that day," Sarah admitted with a soft laugh. "I just wanted to do the right thing. And look where it's led you," Ethan said with a smile. "You've transformed this foundation. Honestly, I don't think it would be half as effective without you." Sarah shook her head, humbled by his words. "It's not just me. It's everyone. The volunteers, the staff, the people we're helping, we're all part of something bigger." Ethan nodded thoughtfully. "That's true, but none of it would have happened if you hadn't shown up that day. Your honesty brought us together, and now we're doing something meaningful." Their conversation shifted to lighter topics, Lily's school projects, Ethan's latest business ventures, but the underlying bond between them remained strong. Neither of them viewed the other as superior or inferior. Instead, they saw each other as equals, united by a shared purpose. Back home that night, Sarah reflected on everything that had changed since returning Ethan's wallet. Her life was no longer defined solely by struggle and survival. She had found purpose, stability, and a sense of belonging she had never imagined possible, and while she still faced challenges, balancing work with motherhood, navigating unfamiliar responsibilities, they felt manageable now, thanks to the support system she had built. For Ethan, the transformation was equally profound. Sarah had reminded him of the importance of staying grounded, of using his success to create opportunities for others rather than hoarding it for himself. He began implementing changes within Carter Ventures as well, prioritizing ethical practices and investing in initiatives that benefited underserved communities. His partnership with Sarah extended beyond the foundation, inspiring him to become a better version of himself. Neither of them could have predicted how far they'd come from that rainy afternoon in Central Park. What had started as a simple act of kindness had blossomed into a relationship built on trust, respect, and a shared commitment to making the world a better place. As they continued working together, they proved that sometimes the most unexpected connections can lead to the greatest transformations. And yet, their journey was far from over. With each passing day, they uncovered new possibilities, new ways to expand the foundation's reach and impact. Little did they know, their efforts would soon attract attention far beyond what either of them had anticipated, setting the stage for even greater adventures ahead. As the foundation continued to grow under Sarah's leadership, its impact began to ripple outward, touching lives in ways neither she nor Ethan had initially imagined. Word spread quickly about the innovative programs and heartfelt dedication behind Carter Ventures' charitable arm. Local news outlets started taking notice, praising the foundation for its commitment to empowering underserved communities. What began as a modest effort to provide resources for struggling families soon evolved into a beacon of hope for countless individuals across New York City. Sarah threw herself into her work with unwavering passion. She spent hours meeting with community leaders, brainstorming ideas with her team, and visiting neighborhoods to better understand the challenges people faced. Her approach was hands-on and deeply personal. She didn't just sit in an office signing checks. She rolled up her sleeves, listened intently, and worked alongside volunteers to ensure every project succeeded. Whether it was organizing free health clinics, distributing school supplies to children, or hosting workshops on financial literacy, Sarah made sure no detail was overlooked. Ethan watched her progress with admiration, often stepping in to offer guidance or additional funding when needed, but he never overshadowed her efforts. Instead, he took a back seat, allowing Sarah to shine as the driving force behind the foundation's success. His role became more supportive than directive, and he found immense satisfaction in seeing how far she had come since their first meeting. One particularly transformative initiative was the Bright Futures Scholarship Program, designed to help low-income students pursue higher education. Sarah had conceived the idea after hearing heartbreaking stories from parents who couldn't afford tuition fees, despite their children excelling academically. With Ethan's backing, they launched the program, offering scholarships that covered not only tuition but also books, housing, and other essential expenses. The response was overwhelming. Hundreds of applications poured in, each one telling a unique story of resilience and determination. Among the recipients was a young woman named Maria, whose journey resonated deeply with Sarah. Maria had grown up in a cramped apartment with 5 siblings, working part-time jobs throughout high school to support her family. Despite these obstacles, she graduated at the top of her class and dreamed of becoming a doctor. When Sarah handed her the acceptance letter during a ceremony at the foundation's headquarters, tears streamed down Maria's face. "This changes everything," Maria whispered, clutching the envelope tightly. "Thank you." Moments like these fueled Sarah's resolve. Every life touched by the foundation reinforced her belief that her decision to return Ethan's wallet had been guided by something greater than chance. It wasn't just about doing the right thing. It was about setting off a chain reaction of kindness and opportunity that could transform entire communities. The foundation's growing reputation caught the attention of influential figures outside New York City. Philanthropists, politicians, and business leaders began reaching out, eager to collaborate or contribute. One day, Sarah received an email from a renowned nonprofit organization inviting her to speak at a national conference on poverty alleviation. At first, she hesitated, unsure if she was ready to step onto such a prominent stage. But Ethan encouraged her, reminding her of the power of her story. "You've earned this," he told her firmly. "Your voice matters. People need to hear what you have to say." With his reassurance, Sarah agreed to attend the conference. Preparing her speech was daunting, but she drew inspiration from the countless faces she had encountered through her work. Mothers striving to give their children better futures, teenagers dreaming of careers once thought impossible, elders grateful for renewed access to healthcare. By the time she stood before the audience, microphone in hand, her nerves had transformed into determination. "None of us are defined solely by our circumstances," she began, her voice steady and clear. "We all carry within us the potential to rise above adversity, to create change, and to inspire others. But sometimes we need someone to believe in us first. That's what this foundation is about, not just providing resources, but showing people that they matter, that their dreams are worth fighting for." Her words struck a chord with the audience, earning a standing ovation. Afterward, attendees lined up to congratulate her, many expressing interest in partnering with the foundation. For Sarah, it was a surreal experience, one that underscored the profound impact of her work. Back home, Lily beamed with pride as she read articles about her mother's achievements online. "You're famous now, Mom," she exclaimed, pointing to a photo of Sarah speaking at the conference. Sarah laughed, brushing off the comment, but deep down, she felt a quiet sense of accomplishment. For years, she had struggled to provide for her daughter while feeling invisible in a world that often overlooked people like her. Now she was making waves, proving that hard work and integrity could open doors she had never dared to dream of. Meanwhile, Ethan continued to evolve alongside Sarah. Inspired by her example, he expanded his own philanthropic efforts, launching initiatives focused on affordable housing, job training, and environmental sustainability. Together, they formed a powerful alliance, leveraging their combined influence to tackle systemic issues plaguing society. Their partnership extended beyond professional collaboration. It became a friendship rooted in shared values and mutual respect. One evening, as they reviewed plans for a new community center, Ethan turned to Sarah with a thoughtful expression. "Do you ever wonder where we'd be if you hadn't returned my wallet that day?" he asked. Sarah smiled softly. "All the time," she admitted. "But I try not to dwell on what ifs. What matters is what we're doing now, how we're helping others." Ethan nodded, his gaze distant. "Still, it's incredible to think about. Something so small, a lost wallet, led to all of this. It makes me believe in fate, in the idea that certain moments are meant to happen." Sarah considered his words, then replied, "Maybe it's not fate. Maybe it's just proof that good things can come from doing the right thing, even when it feels insignificant." Her perspective resonated with Ethan, reinforcing his belief in the power of kindness. Over time, their shared experiences shaped them both, teaching lessons about humility, gratitude, and the boundless potential of human connection. As the foundation flourished, so did Sarah's confidence. She no longer doubted her abilities or questioned whether she belonged in her role. She had proven to herself and to everyone around her that she was capable of greatness. And while she remained humble, she allowed herself to celebrate her achievements, knowing they were well earned. For Ethan, the journey brought a renewed sense of purpose. He realized that true fulfillment came not from accumulating wealth, but from using it to uplift others. Through Sarah, he rediscovered the joy of giving selflessly, of investing in causes that mattered most. Their partnership transcended titles and backgrounds, uniting them in a mission that transcended individual ambition. Together, they laid the groundwork for a legacy that would endure long after they were gone. The foundation they built wasn't just about changing lives. It was about inspiring others to do the same. As stories of its success spread, more people joined the movement, contributing their time, skills, and resources to amplify its impact. Looking ahead, Sarah and Ethan knew there was still much work to be done. Challenges remained, and the road ahead wouldn't always be easy. But they faced the future with optimism, buoyed by the knowledge that they weren't alone. They had each other, a dedicated team, and a growing network of supporters committed to creating a brighter tomorrow. Little did they know, their efforts were about to attract even greater attention, propelling them onto a global stage and cementing their place as catalysts for change. Their story, a testament to the transformative power of honesty, compassion, and collaboration, was only beginning. The foundation's success reached a tipping point when a major national magazine published a feature article on Sarah and Ethan, highlighting their unlikely partnership and the profound impact of their work. The story captured hearts across the country, painting a vivid picture of how two individuals from vastly different worlds had come together to create something extraordinary. Photos accompanied the piece, Sarah speaking passionately at a community event, Ethan shaking hands with grateful beneficiaries, and both of them standing side by side in front of the newly opened Bright Futures Community Center. Overnight, the foundation became a household name, drawing attention not just locally but internationally. The influx of support was overwhelming. Donations poured in from individuals, corporations, and even celebrities eager to contribute to the cause. Volunteers signed up in droves, inspired by Sarah and Ethan's dedication. Schools, hospitals, and other organizations reached out, seeking guidance on replicating the foundation's model in their own communities. What had started as a small initiative rooted in personal values had grown into a movement, a testament to the power of collaboration and compassion. For Sarah, the newfound recognition was both exhilarating and humbling. She had always believed that true fulfillment came from making a difference quietly, without fanfare. Yet she couldn't deny the opportunities that this visibility brought. It allowed her to expand her reach, tackle larger challenges, and advocate for systemic changes that could benefit countless lives. She embraced her role as a public figure, using her platform to amplify voices that often went unheard. One of the most transformative outcomes of the magazine article was an invitation for Sarah to speak at the United Nations during a global summit on poverty alleviation. Standing on that prestigious stage, surrounded by world leaders and changemakers, Sarah felt a mix of awe and responsibility. As she shared her journey, from struggling single mother to leader of a thriving foundation, her words resonated deeply with the audience. She spoke about resilience, the importance of empathy, and the ripple effect of kindness. By the end of her speech, the room erupted in applause, and several delegates approached her afterward to express their admiration. Ethan watched from the sidelines, proud yet reflective. Seeing Sarah command such respect on a global stage reminded him of how far they had both come since their first meeting. He realized that their partnership wasn't just about building a foundation, it was about breaking down barriers and proving that people from different walks of life could unite for a common purpose. Inspired by Sarah's example, he redoubled his efforts to champion social causes within his own sphere of influence, leveraging his business acumen to drive meaningful change. Back home, life continued to evolve for both of them. Sarah's daughter, Lily, thrived in school, benefiting from the stability and encouragement her mother now provided. With access to better resources and opportunities, Lily dreamed of becoming an artist, filling sketchbooks with colorful drawings, inspired by the world around her. Sarah cherished these moments, knowing that her sacrifices were paving the way for her daughter's future. Meanwhile, Ethan found himself reevaluating his priorities. The success of the foundation had reignited his passion for innovation, but it also deepened his appreciation for simplicity and human connection. He began scaling back his involvement in certain high-stakes ventures, choosing instead to focus on initiatives that aligned with his values. His relationships improved too. He grew closer to his siblings, mended old friendships, and made time for hobbies he had neglected for years. For the first time in a long time, he felt balanced and content. As the foundation expanded globally, Sarah and Ethan faced new challenges. Managing operations in multiple countries required careful planning and cultural sensitivity. They assembled a diverse team of experts to ensure their efforts remained inclusive and effective. Despite the complexities, they stayed grounded, reminding themselves of why they had started this journey in the first place: to help others. Their bond remained steadfast throughout it all. While romance never entered the equation, their friendship blossomed into something rare and beautiful, a partnership built on mutual respect, trust, and shared purpose. They celebrated each other's victories, supported one another through setbacks, and continually pushed each other to grow. Years later, looking back on everything they had accomplished, Sarah reflected on the serendipitous chain of events that had led her here. Returning Ethan's wallet had been a simple act of honesty, one she hadn't thought twice about at the time. Yet, it had set off a domino effect that transformed not only her life, but countless others. She often wondered if she would have made the same choice had she known what lay ahead. The answer was always yes. Ethan echoed this sentiment. That wallet was more than just an object, he once told Sarah during a quiet moment at the Foundation's headquarters. It was a catalyst, a reminder that even the smallest acts of integrity can lead to something extraordinary. Together, they had proven that doing the right thing wasn't just a moral obligation. It was an opportunity to spark change. Their story served as a beacon of hope, inspiring others to believe in the power of kindness, humility, and perseverance. From local parks to international stages, Sarah and Ethan's partnership demonstrated that greatness isn't measured by wealth or status. It's defined by the lives we touch and the legacy we leave behind. As they stood together one evening, watching the sunset over the city skyline, Sarah turned to Ethan with a smile. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" she said softly. "We sure have," Ethan replied, his voice filled with gratitude. "And we're just getting started." In that moment, surrounded by the tangible results of their hard work, the laughter of children playing in the community center, the smiles of families finding hope, they knew they had created something timeless. A foundation built not on bricks and mortar, but on love, trust, and the unwavering belief that everyone deserves a chance to shine. And so, their story continued. A testament to the extraordinary possibilities that arise when ordinary people choose to do the right thing.